I literally at 297, I just started calling up different recruiters, active duty recruiters, and they got into the conversation about how much I weighed and this and that, and to cut to the chase, they all pretty much laughed me off the phone. Like, man, you're 6'1" and 297. You can only be 191. Like height and weight limits and everything else. And I was way exceeding those with prior service and everything else. I was one of those not too good recruits pick up. So I went to the reserve recruiter. Steven Saljo was my recruiter. I walked in weighing 297. He looked at me strangely, and I said, I want to be a SEAL. And lucky enough, the guy looked at me and said, let's see what we can do. He weighed me. I weighed 106 pounds overweight. And this is during the whole 1999 transition into 2000. So the whole computer glitches and everything else, people were worried. So they wanted to get me into this class because this reserve program that I was going to be a part of was going to end. The guy said, man, there's a program that's about to end that you can go. And if you make it through BUDS, you'll then go active duty and you'll be a SEAL. If not, you come the fuck home. And I was like, ugh. So anyway, he goes, make you lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. I said, I can't lose that weight. Went back to work. A bad day happened. I found a lot of cockroaches, a lot of rodents. On my way home driving, I said, this is my life. My life is this. This is my life. I'm not that smart. I have a horrible life. I have these two guys. One guy so I became this 297 pound person because it became my body armor. Because the inside was a fragile, weak, insecure kid. So I put this big man around it. So when people looked at me, I intimidated them. I scared them. But if they knew the real me, just a little punk. I was a little punk kid in a 24-year-old guy's body. So I knew that. No one else did. So I tried to change my life, and it started there. I went to the recruiter's office. I went there. Bad day at work. The bad day at work made me realize I couldn't run. The first thing about it was, so I said to myself, I'm going to run 4 miles. My first run out the gate, I'm going to run 4 miles. I ran a mile. I ran a quarter of a mile, walked home, sat on the couch depressed. I said, man, there's no way I can do this. But what I realized, though, is I wasn't going to give up because I already given up many times. And I thought about how would I feel at 50 years old if I gave up now? Not to have, so I kept all this stuff in my mind. And basically, I started becoming obsessed. It didn't happen that night on the couch. Over a period of time, I started becoming obsessed with studying, with weight, with being somebody, with making people who thought I was going to be nothing kind of feel like shit. I became obsessed with, you have to make this right. And the only person that's going to do it is yourself. So I became obsessed with just being obsessed. And I was a kid who kind of got the bad genes. I had all these little sickly issues, all these allergic to shit. I was a little sickly kid. And it's funny how when people hear my story now, they want to put a title on me. Like, I'm superhuman. And I love it because basically it makes you feel better by putting a title on me. You can do it too. Yeah, it's a choice. Yeah. It's a horrible choice. Right. It's a hard choice. It's a lot of suffering involved. Yeah. So for me to get the start line, through that start line journey, I realized, shit, I'm capable. So what happens through this whole process is the change of the mind. It's a change of the guard. Someone once owned my brain. I never owned it. I never had everybody had it. It was my dad's fault. My mom wasn't home fault. My life was, everybody had a piece of my fucking brain. And through this journey of suffering, and the suffering, I put it in because I started finding myself. And I started, oh no, I'm taking this fucking back from me. This part of my brain is mine now. And I started puzzling back this piece of my brain. And through that, I grew confidence, where I had this internal conversation with myself a lot. And I knew I had to make a stand. Because I knew where I was going. I knew where this road led that I was on. And I was afraid. I was afraid to make that stand. So this process was going on a long time in my mind. I was afraid of this, afraid of that, afraid of this, afraid of that. And I knew I had to face this shit, man. But through facing a lot of this stuff, that's what started happening to me. Through facing it, I started getting more and more courage, one thing at a time. So when I overcame the water, more courage. When I overcame the fear of myself, the fear of failure, the fear of being judged, The fear of kind of like, so in this process, I went from David Goggins, I started forming a guy named Goggins. I had to really invent. So I had to be a guy who can take any kind of pain.
You guys have to understand that confidence is not something, and I've said this for so long, I've dedicated so many years of my life to getting this message out, but it's still not registering with a lot of people. All right. And I want to make this something that you cannot ever forget. You have to understand right now that if you wait for yourself to just naturally feel confident and you look at other people and you see, oh, that person seems like they've really got their shit together and they seem so confident all the time and they always know what to do and they always listen, you are confusing yourself out of the reality and victimizing yourself unintentionally. And here's what I mean by that. That person that you see who appears to have their shit together all the time, first of all, has probably earned the right to feel that way. Now, we all know some cocky fuckers who have never accomplished anything in their life but think they're awesome. And we see this a lot at like the lower levels, right? And it's usually the people who think they know everything and that they're so great and you know, but their life doesn't reflect it, that they are, you know, the people that think they know the most. You know, when we talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect, but basically it's a false sense of confidence because you don't really know. And right now we're seeing that a lot in society. You know, we're seeing a lot of people talk about a lot of shit that they fucking have no idea what they're talking about. So what does real confidence, where does it come from? How do we get it? And how do we make sure that we keep it? Well, here's the thing you need to understand. When you do everything you can, when you, on a daily level, and this is why I talk about win the day, when you literally execute on everything that you could and you do everything that you can, you have no other option but to be moved into a place of confidence. I can't be upset that I may have some people do better than me. I feel very confident about what I've done and very confident in my abilities. Okay. And this is just a small example of how this works. I'm not threatened by anybody. I'm not insecure that someone is doing a good thing. But when you lack confidence, that's where these feelings come from. That's when jealousy creeps in. That's when fear creeps in. That's when insecurity creeps in. And that affects your anxiety levels and the way you think about yourself and the actions that you take. So the first step to curing this is understanding that what you put in, you will get out. What you put in, you will get out. Okay. What you put in your body in terms of water, in terms of healthy food, in terms of movement, in terms of positive mental stimulation in the form of reading. Point I'm trying to make here is that if you never realize that what you put in is what you get out, you are surprised when you put in negativity and you put in alcohol and you put in not training and you put in sitting on the couch and you put in all these other things. And then you're surprised that what you get out is shit. You shouldn't be surprised. Okay. What you put into yourself, you will get out. And so when we're thinking about what's going on in the world and we're thinking about all the chaos and we're thinking about all the uncertainty and all of the frustration, which is plentiful, we also have to remember that to minimize that in our own lives, we have to take care of ourselves. We've got to take care of our brains. We've got to take care of our bodies. We have these experts out there talking about health that are, 100 pounds, 200 pounds. It's like I said on the show yesterday. All right. You can't talk to me about health if you haven't put in the work over the last 18 months to get healthy. People lie. People pretend. All these people out there that you think have all their shit together, they're fucking lying. They go home at night and they have issues. They go home at night and they have struggles. They just don't tell you because they're so in love with the image of themselves. They want themselves to feel above you. And they're afraid that if you see that they're actually real, you won't love them anymore. But the truth is you'll love them more because they're more like you.